Ladies and savages, we are back with another episode of Savages Unscripted. My name is Al, and I'm joined with my co-host over here,
Hector. Hey, everybody.
And we're back in Savages Studios once again. How are you doing, Hector?
Dude, I am good, and as I just told you right now, I think we've gotten to a point where we're just so busy that it feels like we haven't recorded in weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Like, it's only been what, 7? No, not even 7 days. 6 days. We recorded last Sunday, and that's what's crazy. Life just keeps passing by.
Maybe that's a telltale sign to just start recording more episodes for the savages out there. But so what I wanted to bring up to you, I just want to bring it up from the get-go, was the nicknames. So we finally got a result, and I'm pretty sure you're going to be happy. What's up?
Oh, so what's going on?
So you're going to be happy with the results. So we made a poll. We put all the top names that you picked, and also I gave other options just in case people wanted to listen to the other names or pick the other names. But we put, where'd it go? Okay. So we put Professor Hector, Stallion, Big H, and then other. And please, drum roll. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. You won with Stallion. The one you wanted.
Stallion.
By one vote.
So you know what's funny is that's the main reason I want the name Stallion, and I told you this, is because I want to. I don't have any photoshopping skills, so I want somebody to Photoshop me on a stallion. Like, I want the most majestic photoshopped photo I have ever seen in my life, and I'm gonna put this on all my social media. I want this. But that's the only reason I want the nickname. That's it. Like, I think after I have that photo, I'm going to be content, but I'm going to have to stick with that name.
I'd just like to see you be put on a centaur rather than a horse.
I'm going to be on a centaur?
Yeah. Just No. You're going to be the centaur. My bad.
I'm going to be a centaur.
Yep.
I don't like this. I don't think that was ever an option.
Damn, bro, then you could be auditioned for the next God. Maybe there's going to be a God 2 out there. You don't know.
All right, Al, you're never going to talk about any Greek mythology anymore, all right?
That just comes to show you how much little interest I had on that show. But moving along, the other thing I also brought up on Instagram was what people wanted for Christmas, and we got some interesting submissions. One viewer went and said he wanted a better job, which, could be understandable.
Okay.
Another person said they wanted the impeachment. That seems like it's writing off of what everyone wants. Then another person wanted...
we must ask, though, is that the impeachment of Donald Trump, or do they want to impeach you from this podcast? That's the better question now.
I feel like it's just you who wants me out.
I didn't say anything. Continue.
You brought it up multiple times. You're like, man... you probably have the intern just as in your back pocket just in case you end up doing that.
Lock her up.
But that's some interesting submission. Oh, and also somebody wanted to have donations for the Yang campaign, even though I think he's second to last in the race. Another person said they wanted a feature. I don't know what you think about that.
They want a what?
They want to be featured in the show.
Oh, they said they want a future. I wasn't saying I hope you want a future. I want a future too. I want to live past this next episode. I want to have an episode 21 or 20.
No, we haven't done that many. We haven't done recording so long. Hector's already forgotten what episode we're on. But
yeah, everything's just very blurry now. But what I will say is we do want to feature more people. But we are also, I'm just going to say this, but we're particular on who we're going to get onto this show. We're not going to get some weirdos on this show. Al's enough. No, but, we are going to branch out. We are. We have some stuff that we've got planned. As I was telling Al, this episode might be a little different. We're going to find out on Monday because I'm unsure. Things tend to fall. Plans don't always go as planned.
Yeah, man, I was just about to bring that up, but the last submission was they wanted me. That's kind of weird. That's kind of makes me feel.
Did you write this in?
No.
Did you wrote?
No.
I'm not lying. I know who it was. It was the intern. So just for the listeners, there's this weird thing going on where, mainly because I live with Elias, it's like he's saying all these things just to spite me. So
I love that.
I asked him like, who's this? I asked him like, who, it was like a month ago. I asked him who's his favorite host, honestly, and he said anyone that isn't Hector. And I don't know.
Hey man,
I like to think I'm a nice person.
At times. But moving along. So now you're Stallion. So I'm gonna start just calling you Stallion from now on.
Guys, I want that damn photo. Please, somebody go through my Instagram, screenshot a photo of me and Photoshop it. Me on a Stallion, please. Like, pretty please. Let's get some submissions. I want to put this on my Instagram, please. That'd be I want to put that on a t-shirt.
What if someone were to do that, but they would like get your older version of yourself, when you were almost Bigfoot, like with all your long hair, and when you were chubbier before? You wouldn't mind that?
Wait, hold on. I have a better idea. If we get at least 3 submissions of me photoshopped on a Stallion, I will get that photo, the best one, and I will put it on the Tinder account I will make. I will use that.
Now we just get to learn another side of Hector. But moving along, we were actually previously talking about this, and you don't consider In-N-Out as a viable option anymore for eating. Like you just won't need it anymore. Why is that?
Yeah. So again, I think I talked about it on the podcast that I have this thing called the list. And basically, because I started eating healthy, and there's those foods where every now and then I'll just crave, like Winter Schnitzel or Carl's Jr. So I'll allow myself to go. I'm not going to keep myself from any sort of pleasure. So I'll have those foods. And if I absolutely hate it, or I hate the way it makes me feel, I add that to this list. And those are the foods I will never eat again. And, typically, at least for those in Southern California or wherever there's an In-N-Out, people tend to see In-N-Out as not really fast food. It's fresher, I'm not saying it's healthy, but it's less unhealthy than other ones. And that's kind of the reputation that In-N-Out has built. And I've always loved In-N-Out. You remember all our In-N-Out adventures.
Oh my God.
In-N-Out was my lack of willpower, my inability to say no, and In-N-Out are the reason I got fat. Because I particularly remember, and I talked about this before too, there was a point where I was in intramural basketball, and my friends and I went like 4 times in the span of 6 days. Mm-hmm. And I would always get like a 4x4 and like a shake and stuff. And yeah, I gained some weight. Anyways, so after I graduated and I moved back home, my dad did this weird thing where he became vegan. And that's not weird. I'm not saying vegans are weird in any way. But he watched this documentary and he started becoming a little bit of a conspiracy theorist with meat. And so he became vegan. But when he became vegan, he fell in love with In-N-Out. And I was like, okay. So what he would do is Monday through Saturday, he would eat completely vegan. No meats, dairies, or any of that stuff. But then Sunday would come around and he would have a burger from In-N-Out. And I promise you this happened at least 12 Sundays in a row. And at first, you just finished college. Free food. If your parents or anybody offers you food, you're like, all right, I'll take food. So I would always say yes. And it got to the point where I had In-N-Out so much and I had just smelled it so much. I got so tired of it that I smell it and I do not crave it. And I can't eat In-N-Out now. Like, it doesn't make me gag or anything. Like, if someone gets for me, I'm not going to say no. But it's gone to a point where I do not crave In-N-Out. And for anybody in SoCal, that's a pretty big thing, and people see me like
crazy.
Like that's on par with putting pineapple on pizza on social media.
Oh, that's fucking amazing. I don't know what you're talking about, but
you like pineapple on pizza, right?
Yeah, man. The Hawaiian pizza, I fucking love that shit.
Because you're a respectable man. I respect you now, Al.
I like it how a couple times I drop some stuff that you like, and you always say you respect me now. So for clarification, is it respect for the day, for an hour? How long does that respect last?
In general, I'm beginning to respect you.
I got some points. Hell yeah! But yeah, I
all
remember.
Right, let me ask you this.
I just a quick story. I remember I would at times. It was after it was after I finished college, and at times I would just have to go a couple times by San Bernardino, and I'll tell you like, hey, I'm around the area. You want to go eat? He'll be like, yeah, I'm down. And I remember that a couple times because usually I don't eat fast food either, but I'll be like, In-N-Out's right there, And you're like, oh man, I just had that shit like twice already this week, and I'm like, right. And then it wasn't just one time. I think I asked you 3 times in 3 separate occasions, and you just said no. Or it's not that you said no, but you obviously ate it a lot, which is funny. But
yeah, I have never been that person that wants to inconvenience people. If I'm with a group of people and they want something, even if I don't like it, like I'll go. I'll find something on that menu that I will eat. Like I'm not gonna be an asshole. I think that's what makes you picky, is if you're gonna inconvenience yourself and other people, not if you just don't like something. Because I don't like stuff, but I still eat it. And except if I'm with like you or Angel or somebody close. Like if you guys say I want this, I'll straight up, I'll just say it. I am not eating that. And I remember there was a day where we got invited to a bar. Remember, we were going to meet up with some friends there, and they wanted to go In-N-Out. And I remember specifically telling you, if we go to In-N-Out, I am not eating. So we went for some Mediterranean food, which is great because we had some bomb-ass kebabs.
But
what I was going to ask, though, because, we were talking, we briefly mentioned the pineapple on pizza, which we both are in agreement for. Mm-hmm. What are some unpopular, opinions of yours? Like, is there anything that you like that other people don't like? Or vice versa? Is there something that a lot of people love that it's overrated to you?
Does it have to be food or just anything in general?
Anything. For example, Thin Mints are overrated.
Typically, honestly, dude, not to toot my horn or anything, but first of all, I don't even think this is a thing, but I don't go along with the trends and shit like that when it comes to songs or music. Like, especially when people, get overhyped over an artist right after they died. I find that kind of dumb, honestly, because...
You're dancing around my question now. You're dancing around my question. What is something people love that you don't care for? That's all I'm asking.
Disney. That's an easy one. I don't like Disney. That's kind of dumb. Why pay so much money just to stay in line all day and then pay, what, like
so
4 times more?
Particular.
Yep. Disneyland, I try to fake myself and kind of make myself feel like I like Disney, but I never, even when I was little, my mom was like, you love Disney. I'm like, no, I don't. And I was like 8. And she's like, well, we're going. I'm like, what the fuck? This is my birthday. You're making forcing me to go to Disneyland? But I think that's one. And then another one might be, the pizza thing. That's the mostly I could think of. That's the one things I could think of off the top of my head. I feel there's definitely more, but I'm not thinking about it right now.
And that's what's funny because for as long as I've been around, a good 25 years, I've always seen pineapple with pizza everywhere. Shakey's, all these big brands, Pizza Hut, and all this stuff. Like, it's always been all right. But then with social media, all of a sudden it's fucking hated. Like, it's gotten to a point where if you eat pineapple on pizza, that's worse than eating ass.
Oh my god.
You know that's right.
I never experienced that type of hate before, or backlash, but I'll believe you. I'm just trying to think, like, what about you? What are things, I know you're full of controversy, but what are some of the highlights, what are the things you don't like that people like, or the opposite?
Oh, I told you, Thin Mints are super overrated. Now I'm at a point where, like, as I was saying, In-N-Out, I'm really tired of it. I honestly don't care for In and Out right now. Tequila. I am Mexican. I guess I'm supposed to love tequila. I remember when I became of legal age and, I started, trying out different drinks and stuff. When I first had a tequila shot in front of me or whatever, I forgot in what form it was in, but I had it in front of me. And I remember thinking like, you always hear about this in movies, on my family, and everybody talks about this. Like tequila is supposed to be the staple. And I remember trying it and thinking, who would ever harm their body like this? Like, this is disgusting. Like, the burn down your throat, it's so bad. And I remember the first time I tried it, I had a tequila shot. It was still in my mouth a little bit. Then I sneezed, and like the tequila came out of my nose. So it was burning my throat, my chest, and it burned my nose. And I remember being in so much pain, almost like, screw you, tequila.
Dude, that's the best sensation. That helps for the tos, bro.
Oh, man. I'll go about it other ways.
Oh, I have two more things to add. I was just Googling shit just to get a good sense.
Go ahead.
I don't like coffee. People rave about coffee. I dislike coffee. The only one I could drink is probably like decaf, but it has to be a certain brand. But I just don't like coffee. I don't know. I don't like the feeling or the need to drink something as strong as coffee, as addictive as coffee, in order to get energy. Why don't you just like maybe some other substitutes or something else? And then the beach too. I don't like the beach.
I respect that.
I don't like California beaches. They're overrated as fuck. And yeah, go ahead.
I respect one thing that you said. Because I understand, coffee's very, to many, especially, if you're in college, you're out of college, you're an adult, it seems like people think you need coffee. And especially with Starbucks and all these cafes and lattes and all this stuff, espressos, it's gone to the point where coffee, like if you don't drink coffee, you're weird. Like you're not one of us struggling adults. So I understand that. But you call decaf coffee. I would not consider decaf coffee.
Okay. Right.
At most, I would consider decaf coffee flavored water. Decaf, no. That's what it is.
I love it.
That's when you have an addiction.
Shit.
I think decaf.
Yeah.
Decaf is when you have an addiction because you need coffee so bad that you need to taste that flavor. I think. I don't know. It's like it reminds me of, there was a while ago where I heard about this. I've never tried it, but people were talking about beer without alcohol. I don't know if you remember this. I think it was like, I don't know if it was like beer flavored water. I don't want to say that. It sounds disgusting.
Yeah, I do remember. It was like Heineken alcohol. Was doing that, I think, or Dos Equis. I forgot.
Yeah, but beer, especially those bigger known brands, those cheaper ones, those aren't good. You drink those to get drunk, and you're not having alcohol in it. Like that's gross. I don't know.
I mean, it's probably just for people who just constantly drink a lot. Like, yeah, I found it interesting. I wonder how it turned out, because it could be like a small niche you could hit. But last thing I just wanted to say that I have actually been passionate about disliking this, and I don't. Typically, when I say it, people are like, not everyone, but people are like freaked out about it. And what's funny is that some of my friends, it's kind of hard to find these dislikes from people, but like they either dislike one or two things that I also dislike, like Disney and Harry Potter. I think Harry Potter was super overrated. I don't like Harry Potter at all.
Did you ever watch it all?
Yeah, I did. I watched like 2 to 3 movies. I forgot, 2 or 3 movies, should I say. I fell asleep.
So you didn't watch it all?
I didn't watch it all. I tried to read the book too. I tried to read like 1 or 2 books. It just didn't catch my attention, and I didn't see what was such a trigger to get into it, because you can't just fully watch all 9 movies and then like say like, oh, you're now into it. You gotta be able to get the hook of it, and I just never caught onto that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I didn't watch.
So you watched how many of the movies? You said 3?
I think I scattered them. I think I watched the first one. I don't remember those. Then the third one, and I don't remember.
3 out of the 8 movies?
7, 8. I don't even know. But it's been a while since I've even mentioned Harry Potter in a minute. But and then I tried to watch.
Let me ask
try
you
to
this,
read
though.
also the book Sorcerer of Stone, or what? I don't remember any of this. Phoenix Fire or whatever. Try to read that book too. I was like 120 pages. I was forcing myself to read, and I just.
Let me ask you this: do you think someone can fully form an opinion on something if they haven't fully experienced it?
No, but they could also choose to pursue it or not. And it's just something I never really liked. And it's just the thing I didn't like was not really how the content is, but I just didn't like how much hype there was. I was like, dude, I just don't see how much there's so much validation to this.
But if anything, that's your fault for buying into the hype.
No, I didn't buy into it. I wanted to analyze it. I wanted to see.
Here's the thing about hype, though. Here's the thing about hype. When there's hype, you give it value. You listen to it, and you keep that in mind. You give it value. And like I've fallen prey to that at times too, where something is talked about so much, and you try it, and it's like, Then you think about that hype, and that hype makes it worse for you. But the thing about that is you hold value to that hype.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, you watched 2 Harry Potter movies out of 8, and you said you didn't like it. 3, that's you didn't even
dude,
get
I
half
fell
of it.
asleep.
Like,
I fell asleep.
That's like
I fell asleep on them.
That's like barely getting past foreplay and saying, you know what, sex isn't for me.
Yeah, but like I said, I just wanted to see what the hook was, and after the first movie, I was already done. So I gave it 2 more shots at it. Like the second movie, I was still like, "What's the deal?" Then the third one,
yeah, no, I don't blame you.
And then, like I said, I also tried to read the book, but I was like, "No, I couldn't."
I love the books. The movies they were good. The movies. This sounds super cliche, but I thought the books were like amazing. And what really surprises me, like I still meet like in my family and like neighbors and stuff, I see like little kids still reading Harry Potter, like in 4th grade and 3rd grade.
That's good.
And that to me, that shows like it's standing the test of time. You know, all these kids are playing Fortnite, and some of them are still reading Harry Potter. That's cool.
That's the difference maker between
there. That's it. Oh, I found the perfect one. I found the perfect unpopular opinion. Fortnite sucks.
Oh, okay. Our demographic. Okay. I think 2 people are gonna unfollow us now. But
okay, I can't say it sucks if I didn't get that much into it. I think it's overrated. There we go.
That's what I mean.
The proper way to say it.
Oh my god! You remember when Angel got into it? I remember for like a cool week, he would not stop playing that, and he's like, "Dude, Fortnite's so cool," and he tried to get us into it. And I think you taunted him. You were like, "You're winning because you're playing against kids."
Wait, 2 things.
Man, I love that.
First, I'm gonna say this because this should have been said before. For those listening, we eventually want to get our friend Angel on here because we name drop him like once a podcast, and we will stop. But fun story on that because he's one of those people that got so into Fortnite and specifically video games, and we see those people that they get not just into it, but they get distracted by it. And I remember there was a day where I had moved out of your guys' dorm, and I remember he invited me over, and he told me, "Let me know when you're here." I was like, all right. So I texted him. I was like, "Hey, I'm here." And there was like no response. So I was like, "Oh, okay." I went back and like an hour and a half later, "Oh, sorry, man. I was playing some Fortnite." And I was like, dude, it's an hour and a half later.
Ay, man. Fortnite. Don't you kind of feel old now because stuff that it's going viral now, at times you don't find why it's valid, you know? Before when we used to think stuff was cool, you know, we kind of relate, but now it's like we're so off of why it should be cool or agreeing to it.
That's based on taste, though. I don't think that's age, because I do know a lot of people that are our age that like Fortnite, and I shit on it. I'm not saying if you guys like it, you know, you guys... I'm not making fun of you guys. It's not for me, but I know a lot of people our age or just a little bit younger that are really into it. I think it's just more so on taste. You and me just weren't into that, you know, game style of Battle Royale. Like, that just wasn't me at all. I enjoyed PUBG a bit, but, you know, past that, that's it. Other than that, Battle Royale was unappealing to me.
I mean, even game developers that try to implement that stuff to their own video games, such as I remember there was 2 specifically Black Ops. They did pretty well, but I think if you look at their demographic, it's full of like teens and like older 20-year-olds. While and it got pretty well. Like, obviously it was like, come on, bro, like you're copying the competition now from Fortnite, which was fine. And then there was a Battlefield. I feel like it's more older teens, and same thing, but more of an adult audience than Call of Duty, obviously. And they completely booed the whole thing. They were like, not everyone, obviously, but you heard boos, and it kind of felt like a cringe too. Yeah. And people just didn't play it. I think I don't think it got that many. Like I remember some YouTubers try to actually play it, and they had to wait 15 minutes just to get into a game. That's how bad it did.
What bothered me, and you saw this with Call of Duty and Battlefield, but that's different because those are games that have been going on so long that they're kind of losing their appeal, especially Call of Duty. We joke about Call of Duty a lot, you and I, because it's basically just the reskin. That's what it is every year. Like, it died years ago. But when they added the Battle Royale game mode, it was obviously them trying to stay relevant. You know, them adding this thing that's not what they were so they can stay relevant. Same thing with Battlefield. But then it got to a point where other video games, it seemed like people were expecting it as well. Like, I remember when Fallout was coming out, Fallout 76, and everyone was saying, is there going to be Battle Royale? Is there going to be Battle Royale? And that's one of those games where it's not even really PvP. Like, why is there going to be a Battle Royale even considered? And then when they announced Halo Infinite, you know, the 6th Halo installment, same thing. Everyone was saying Battle Royale, only because that's what people are expecting now. That's like the new norm. And I think I told you this, but about a year ago, one of the developers with Halo, one of their PR people, like, they tweeted something, and they said, you know, people have been asking if there's going to be Battle Royale in Halo. And all we have to say to that is there is only one BR in Halo, and that's the battle rifle. And to me, when I read that, I was like, props. Like, that's awesome. But again, that's just not you and me. That's the thing, you know. And everything's, honestly, as much of a cop out as it sounds like, it's all about taste.
Yeah, at the end. But I feel also that it just depends on, like I said, the demographic, and also like the Gen Y, Gen Z, whatever, how that specific group of people were raised, and what their likes were like, and that kind of defines how they're willing to accept something or not. And yeah, that could also, and that is true. It could be just like not a cop out, but just it kind of became also standard. But it was just a thing that they were copying just to stay relevant. But I feel like it also comes down to how most of the customer demographic for that specific game is, or how that originated from. You know, old young kids started playing this a lot, and then Fortnite became still relevant. We thought it was gonna die, but it stayed relevant. Then companies with older demographics tried to apply it, and it just didn't work out as well. But
yeah, there's a friend of mine I do want on the podcast because he's really into video games, and I know he's getting now into competitive gaming. And he's one of those people that, if I'm correct, I know he's going to correct me if I'm wrong. He's going to text me as soon as he listens to this podcast. But he played Fortnite before the Battle Royale thing. That's not what it was. It was its own game, and I never played it. I was never into it. You know, pre-Battle Royale, so I don't know anything about it, but I'm pretty sure that's what I was told. Like, he was into this, or he knew of it, and then that happened. And so for him, it's more so not just the craze that came of it that annoyed him. It's more so that the game changed entirely. And, you know, he liked what it was before, but now it's just, let's feed to the masses. Let's, you know, all these little kids, all these people like the Battle Royale, let's continue with that.
I could actually connect with
that's
your friend of mine
because
I checked out Fortnite. I saw it was free, and then I saw 2 game modes. I saw Battle Royale, and then another one, which was Survival. And I was like, okay, let's take a look at that. And I saw the preview, and it looked pretty cool. The whole point of being able to build shit, you know, and what was for survival against, I think, zombies or something like that. You were supposed to. It's basically a zombie survival game. It looked cool because you can build your own stuff. Get materials, and then build another fort if it gets overrun. And it seems like a constant continuation of making your own shelter. And it seemed like a cool concept. And I was actually down to play that. But that one was actually $10. I'm like, hell no, I'm not buying this. But the concept on its own seemed cooler than Battle Royale, at least to me. But so I could understand how your friend was probably playing it, and it's a cool concept to me.
And it seems like, especially now, like developing video games seems, especially with social media, it seems increasingly difficult. Because I remember, especially back in the day, like before social media, like when a game came out that you wanted, you just buy it, you play it, and you enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But then now I feel like there's so much bitching about every little thing, like every little detail, though, every little thing. And it's not just the fact that, yeah, social media, now we're seeing it, but it feels like I never even heard nitpicking before from my friends about these video games. It's just, you're excited, you get it, you play it, boom. Now their opinion is super important. It must be heard. But what I meant by all this was, there's this idea that, if you stick to the same formula, eventually that's going to get boring. Mm-hmm. And then, at times when you change a video game, like, who's to say that change is going to be too much? And in particular, Pokemon, for the longest time, the story and everything, it was the same formula they did every generation of, you get a team of 6 Pokemon. You choose between 3 starters, grass, water, fire. You get 8 badges and you go to the Pokemon League. It's the same formula every time. And eventually got to the point where they started making changes. And then with Sun and Moon, I know you don't play Pokemon, but so they eventually did Sun and Moon. And they did some changes that were interesting, but the game sucked ass. It did. And people hated it, and they started attacking the Pokemon Company and all this stuff. And then with this newer one that came out about a month ago, Sword and Shield, I'm enjoying it. I think it's a really fun game. But then there's those changes as well. Like, it's interesting, but it's bad. I think something can be interesting and bad at the same time.
So was the change drastic or just small changes?
In regards to this game, they're trying to make it more of a multiplayer thing. It's something called raid battles or max raids, where basically there's these oversized Pokemon, like really oversized, and you can fight it with your friends, and you get a certain amount of turns, and you have to catch in a certain amount of turns. And basically these are like, they have like special abilities and they're stronger, but that's it. And after playing a little bit with friends, you can get really bored. And it's like the concept of it was interesting, but it gets overplayed way too fast. And that's the thing about any video game, honestly. Like, at times you have that formula that got you. That got you on the spot, got you on the map, that people love. But then there is a point where people want more. And that's the thing with Pokemon. They've been... I'm sure at least on the surface you know about this, but they've been tending to that fan base, the younger fan base. Mm-hmm. When in reality, the people that mostly play Pokemon, there's been a meme about this that you see like, who actually plays like Call of Duty, and it's like little kids. And like Pokemon is really like guys in college or, young adults and stuff like that. And I don't know. It's interesting.
Especially... So did the change affect like the main gameplay of it, or was it just a small type of game type that you could play? But there was also
my problem is the main game modes are gimmicky. They're not good. They're interesting. They're not good, and the game got way too easy. But then the thing, I was having a conversation with Elias, the intern, the other day, because like every other night, once he's off work, once I'm off work, we'll just be on our couches, just play Pokemon, just talk. And we were having the discussion of, and I would like for people that play Pokemon to, hit us up about this, tweet us or anything. But we keep saying that these games are getting easier, but then as weird as this sounds and as old as this make us sound, but are these games getting easier, or is it because we're older and we're better at it now? Because I'm sure back in the day when I played those first, the first and second generation, like, I struggled. It was a challenge, but also like I was barely learning the game. So that could be a factor as well, When you think of those games when you're younger and you actually found it challenging. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard to tell because you can't just travel back in time and remember exactly how you felt and what it was. But my main issue with Pokemon is just the story is just so bland and simple. And me and Elias were severely disappointed with the story. I was going to rage quit because the story was disappointing.
Okay, but...
Oh my god, my blood pressure
that didn't fully answer my question. Was the change for playing that specific game mode, should I say, where you could play with friends and battle a Pokemon. Was that like the full game experience right there, or was it just a side thing?
No, hell no, that's not, fuck no, that's not the full game experience. That's just like a, no. Like, so it's mainly a single player experience. Mainly, you're on your own story, you're catching your own Pokemon, but there's this big wild area where you can occasionally find these bigger Pokemon. It's like a multiplayer aspect that you can do if you want. It helps you train and do more stuff, basically, in order for you to understand it, since you don't play Pokemon. It's not, you don't have to do it. You can play and not do it, is what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is they added this, and the thing is, Pokemon multiplayer is a huge part of it. Because, and you watched the anime back in the day, and you said, I think you played the first game, but Pokemon, like, their slogan is gotta catch 'em all. Mm-hmm. And the big thing with Pokemon, and the big business tactic that they did, was when they started making these games, they made exclusives. So with each game, there's actually 2 games, because they want you to buy 2, or they want you to find a friend that has another one. So whatever Pokemon you can't catch, you're going to go to that other game and catch it, you're going to trade, which is interesting. Because I know that the guy that created Pokemon, he was really into bug collecting. So, that went to Pokemon collecting as well. So, I forgot where I was going with this. Damn, I'm on the story. I don't even know what we're talking about.
Was it kind of like a missed opportunity type of thing, where people were like, this could have been better? Or they just didn't like that they added this new thing?
No, it could definitely be better. It could definitely be better. It's just this, I understand they're trying to make it different. Especially with the last 3 generations, there's big changes. This one just, no, it doesn't work. It's gimmicky.
Yep, because I was just I was going to bring my business perspective on this, but yeah, like going back to what you previously mentioned, where if you have a winning recipe, then just keep it going. Like, perfect example is Call of Duty with that. It's interesting topic to me, because I've also gotten into sports games, like NBA 2K, FIFA, and a little bit of Madden, and typically these games don't change, and they're all done by EA, which is probably one of the worst developing companies. Yet they rack in a ton of people still playing it, a ton of people still pre-ordering it. People bitch about like, like this shouldn't happen, this is disgraceful, EA, this doesn't appeal me. Yet they keep winning more and more and more money every year from their 2 game modes, Ultimate Team. That's it, Ultimate Team. And maybe some bit of career mode, but basically the game modes that ask for you to make, not ask, but gives you the option to pay more money in order to get better players and play against people online. And they have been focusing on that a lot, and they made some changes. And at times, at least in business concepts, you are taught that you should be cautious with your changes, or if you're going to add something new, you should do some sort of testing or research beforehand in order to apply this. And at times people do bitch about it, but then at the end of the day, they can't do shit, because it's still an enjoyable recipe. Like you said, it's something people still like, even though it doesn't change, and it's basically, like you said, a reskin, or like we say, it's just an update of overall players. It still turns out great, and they still keep racking in money. Like, perfect example, dude, of how much leverage the company has with their one recipes. FIFA 20, should I say. I have the game, and also have FIFA 19, and one of the things is Ultimate Team. So Ultimate Team is doing great. They're releasing content and stuff like this, but their servers are ass, bro. They're terrible. They're worse than the Fallout 76 servers. They're that bad. There's speed up lags. The connections, it always says it's 3, but it ends up feeling like a 2 at times with all these cuts. And matchmaking isn't that great. If your team is like, let's say a level 2, just to give a little help understand a little bit clearer, and then you're level 2, and then you get matched up with level 10. So it's bad. And the one thing they just need down just to make it a game that you could actually play is not even done properly. Yet they're racking in money. Career mode, which has been also a thing that made them relevant previously, so the recipe comes back again. It's not playable. you either lose in the first couple hours you play, and that's it. Like, the whole game mode is deleted or you can't even play it anymore. Yet they're still raking in more money. So at times you just got, I don't even know where I'm going with this. I'm just being so passionate about it, but it just comes to show you that some changes could be good. It could receive some backlash, but over time, as you develop it a bit more, and you'll end up making the recipe even better, possibly. Or at times you could, and that little change, it could lead up to something potentially bigger that you could move on and be the next legacy for your corporation, your business, your ideas, anything. Such as career mode such as FIFA went from career mode, which is an offline thing, to Ultimate Team, which was a small project, and eventually it's just racking in more and more money. But it's interesting. At the end of the day, I feel like any change people don't like. People usually don't like change at all when it comes to at least video games and stuff like this. But
and then
there are
some changes.
You do have to expect backlash. You always have to expect backlash, but you just gotta build on any feedback that's concrete feedback, and then just help it make a better experience or a better recipe for it.
Yeah, but then there's also those changes that, like, it's understandable why they're getting hate. There's some changes that, like, you see it and it's like, okay, this is the reason you guys are getting hate, and it makes sense, because I think a game you and I both enjoyed, but I think we can both agree was really flawed, was Fallout 76.
Mm-hmm.
We played that a lot. It was really fun. Like, we enjoyed it. You, me, Angel, and some other friends. But that game was fucking broken.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was a bad game, but it was a fun game. And, as someone that loves the Fallout franchise, because that was your only Fallout game you played, surprisingly, like the worst one. But a big part of Fallout was the NPCs, you're in this post-apocalyptic world. There's all these NPCs and stuff. You talk to people, and talking to these people pieces together this whole story in this world. But then when they introduced Fallout 76, which was purely multiplayer
from the beginning,
they got rid of NPCs. Yeah, so they got rid of NPCs. So there's nobody to talk to in the game, technically. And there's no NPCs, and which is understandable because they want to be multiplayer. You can play with other people, and it's supposed to be open world. But especially in the beginning, you and I haven't played it in a while, but it was only 4 people per server. Like, how you have this big open world, no NPCs, and you have 4 people per server? That's ridiculous. Like, I think it might have been like 6, maybe 4 was right, but it's like basically like you have a group of friends and that's it. And I think it was 4, because I remember it would be like you, Edward, Angel, and me, and we wanted to invite other people, but then got to the point where we're like, okay, well, if we want to invite other people, we have to do rotations, like, like. Oh, when Al isn't playing, you can play, and that sucks. It shouldn't be like that. If you're going to have this big open world that's multiplayer, you should be able to play with at least a group of friends, like at least like 5 people. But again, that's a game that you and I enjoyed.
Yeah. That was more of a project, I feel, for Fallout than really an expected hit, because at the end, they never done this before, and that was no small change for any scale. And I honestly, it was fun. It was enjoyable. And they could probably just learn from what they got here and make it into a better game, and probably attract a different audience to that specific game mode, at least, where it'll just make our experience even better. Because I remember during that time, there was a thing called, I think, passive mode, where no one could kill you, but you can't kill anybody in the game.
Oh, that was awesome.
Everyone had it.
You hated that.
Everyone had it. No, you couldn't. You couldn't play. You couldn't do leave it on. You couldn't play without passive mode, should I say? Because everyone would just want to kill you. No one would actually be cool. Maybe 1 or 2 people you could find on the server, or once in a while will be cool about it. But typically, it was not great to play against them. But yeah, no, it was fun, dude. I just felt like it was something that had its audience, or got its audience a bit from that previous Fallout games, just got a bit of a niche from that, and then was able to at least run forward with it. It wasn't a complete disaster. I know there was other aspects that the company did that really messed them up, and their PR was terrible, but
yeah,
it was really a fun game, dude. And that kind of that's it.
I think this is how those listening because I think from the very beginning, you and I said we love video games, but we've never talked about video games on this podcast. And I think this is how the listeners can know, like, we really do like video games, because the first time we're talking about it, we're already about to be 50 minutes into this episode. Like, you and I,
God.
like, we just haven't had time. Like, I was telling you right before the podcast, I want to talk more about video games, but in terms of relevant video games, I don't know what's out there. Like, there's Outer Worlds, and there's the new Star Wars game that I've been wanting to play, but I don't have time, and I want to save that money, so it's only been Pokemon that I've been playing. I still haven't beat Borderlands 3, so, like, you and I are behind. Like, we're not in the know. We're behind. We're oldies.
And I honestly just typically I play video games when, you know, with friends, or obviously when you guys are on, but I don't find myself playing video games on my own when it comes to at least campaigns and shit like that. It's just kind of, at least for me, I got to that point where I'm trying to back away from video games, besides, you know, maybe sports games, which I love. But typically when it's campaigns and all that stuff, it's for me just to play with friends. And that just adds to the experience, and that makes the experience great.
I just started playing again, and it's funny because I'm a competitive person.
Oh my God!
For me, in terms of
you don't have to say
with
that
myself.
You don't have to say your
No. I mean, in terms of competitive with myself, like in terms of achievements and Xbox achievements, I love Xbox achievements. To me, like, it's kind of like a trophy. And you know, you and Angel have had your game accounts, your Xbox accounts for years. I've only had mine for like 2 years maybe. So I'm catching up to you guys. And for me, like, a little goal, I haven't told you guys, but I want to pass you guys. I'm going to do it eventually. But I keep trying to get these achievements, and now, like, I've never 100%ed a game before. Like, I want to do that. Because, you know, I realize, like, I play so many games, but I've never really 100% completed a game. And so I've been trying to get, like, some more obscure and some tougher achievements in games. And I started playing NBA Live 19. Because, you know, they didn't release a 20. I don't know why they didn't release a 20. I like 19. But so I've been playing NBA Live 19, and I got a good chunk of the achievements already, but there's one where you have to just hold your opponent scoreless for 4 minutes. And I can easily cheat and put down the difficulty. I can turn off fouls if I want, but I don't want to do that. So, like, I'm playing at the highest difficulty, and I'm playing with fouls and stuff. So I promise you, in the past week, so you have to hold your opponent scoreless for 4 minutes. So 4 minutes, you play, and the person you're playing does not score 1 point. Mm-hmm. And I promise you, Al, in the past week, I reached that 3 minute and 50 seconds mark, and they fucking score on me. And I get so mad, I just cannot play anymore. Oh my gosh. And that's, like I said, in terms of achievements, I love achievements. So if there's a video game that's on the Switch and on the Xbox, I'm going to get it on the Xbox because the Switch doesn't have achievements.
Oh my God. It's interesting. Let's actually delve into that competitiveness. I remember typically I was kind of getting into that in a different way. When it came to playing games or playing basketball, I usually got pretty competitive, or even what I used to do in my freshman sophomore years of college, I would make every class like a video game where I was like, everyone's my rival. I gotta beat them out. I gotta have the highest grade. And it's a good motivational way of doing things. But I remember typically that at times making something hard for yourself, even though something is easier and it leads to the same outcome, at times you just want to do that extra step just to, I don't know, not flex, but feel more accomplished. It's an interesting pattern. You kind of remind me of that. I don't try to do that as much because I will get super mad before, and but it's an interesting way of thinking. And constantly, every time you tell me this, it just reminds me of my old self when I used to do that. Especially also in video games, I'll get super competitive and stuff like that. But what do you think? You know, like when you get competitive, it's you want to make it a little challenging more than anything, even though you are gonna get the same outcome as finding an easier path to yourself. But why do you think you do that? You know, does that kind of define you? You could get more prep points for other people. Like, what's the deal? I
mean, like I said, you know, I think it depends on how you're using that competitiveness. Because, like I said, for me, it was more of a self-achievement kind of thing.
Okay.
I wanted to me, those achievements were like a trophy. And so I was competing with myself to really get these achievements because I want to complete this. In my eyes, I was like, well, I paid $60 for this game and I have only 20% of the achievements. Did I really fully experience the game? Like, so I saw it through that mindset, and that got me competitive. Like, let me try to get all these achievements. And then seeing other people with more achievements, that just made me like, I wasn't like competing with them directly, but I mean, I was using them as my own, like I was measuring myself by those standards, like, hey, this person has this many achievements. I want to beat them. Just, like a little, just as a marker. But the funny thing about me and my competitiveness is it goes two ways. Like I said, it's more of a self-competitiveness where I want to become better. But also, I will not get competitive with somebody unless they're competitive with me. For example, if someone's, if we're playing basketball and that person doesn't really care, like, I'm not going to shoot a shot on them and be like, oh, what now? I'm not going to do that. Like, they're not into it. What's the point of being competitive? It's kind of lame at that point. But there's been points where if someone's so competitive and they get cocky, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to show them why I'm better. And I specifically remember I took an anatomy class in high school my senior year, and I was in a band. And my whole band, we were in the same class together. We all sat together. And so senior year anatomy, and our teacher did this thing where she posted our progress reports on the wall every week. But she didn't show it by the name. She showed it by your lunch number, your ID number or whatever. And so you could see your own grade. And she ranked it in order. I don't know if it's kind of messed up that she's displaying this. You tell me. But these progress reports she would post on the wall were ranked from the highest grade to the lowest. And I mean, in terms of the person that might be at the bottom, that might be a slap to the face. But I was at the top, and I would actually study, and I would, try to do better. And I was always like 99% in the class or 100. And I remember there was this one guy, and he was trying to catch up to me. But he was vocal about it, and he would talk crap about me, and he'd be like, no, I'm going to pass Hector. Like, you know what? No, it's just because the teacher likes him. Oh, no. Like, yeah, Hector's just getting lucky. And he kept saying this. And the fact that he kept saying he was going to beat me, I wanted to beat him. And I remember one day where I think like there was this progress report where I beat him by like 0.4%, and I was still on top, and he was pissed. But it's like, that's the thing. So, he got competitive and cocky, so I got competitive in that point. And that's the thing about me and my competitiveness.
That's always an interesting way of thinking. Do you think being competitive, like crucial parts of your life, such as jobs, relationships, or just with friends, do you think that could be something viable for all those type of facets, or at least those three, or just some stuff, at least from your experience, you found success in?
I think you need healthy competition. Okay. That's why I like the term rival. And I think at times people misinterpret the term rival. I think at times people think like a rival's an enemy, when a rival's not an enemy. Like, let's just, you and me haven't been playing. Oh, perfect example. Me and Elias, we're playing Pokemon. He's my rival. I don't hate him, but that's someone that, we want to compete. We want to be better than each other, but we also help each other. And that's the way I see a rival. And I think in terms of competition, that's what we need. We need to see it in a healthy way, not just, I want to beat you because I'm better. It's more so like, you should, I know I did that a few times. That was past Hector, but Still? I think there is healthy competition. There is healthy competition. I think if it affects you outside of whatever you're doing, if you're competitive in video games and it affects your relationship outside of it, that's toxic and that's unhealthy.
What about building up imaginative competitiveness, like rivals, like
like imaginary friends?
No, like I said, like you mentioned, before you wanted to beat me and Angel's game scores, and Angel's a competitive one. I don't really care, but you didn't even tell us this. You just want to do it. That's what I'm.
But that
saying.
In terms of that, it wasn't like I'm gonna rub it in your faces when I pass you. Because if I'm correct, Angel has a higher score than you.
Yeah, he definitely.
I think he's had his Xbox a lot longer. So. It wasn't like I'm going to pass Al and rub it in his face, and I'm going to pass Angel and fucking post about it on Instagram and talk about how I'm better. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, I have a lot of friends on Xbox, but you guys are the main two that I talk to and I interact with and I play games with. So I chose you two just because I'm closer to you guys. But it was more so just, yours is more attainable. If I tried, I could probably pass you in 2 months. But Angel's is more up there. So yours was like a stepping stone. His was like up there. So it wasn't like I have to beat you guys. It was just more so like a marker. Like for example, if you want to lose 50 pounds in a year, you start with those smaller stepping stones. You're like, okay, well, first I'm going to lose 10 pounds. You know, that's the way I saw it. Just a marker. Okay, that's good.
Okay, I thought you were just getting over your head. I was like, I'm kind of concerned for you right now.
No, So I remember, I haven't played Call of Duty like really since high school. I think it was Modern Warfare 3. And I think it was senior year. I kind of played, and I had a few friends that played on PlayStation. And we had another friend, this female friend, this girl that we knew. And she was really into Call of Duty. Like this girl, she had her... You remember when people have montage videos on YouTube? You see like their no-scope videos and shit, like cheesy music, and so she would do this. Like that's how good she was. Like she was actually really good.
Damn.
And my friends are really good too. I was honestly like, I was good, but my friends were better than me in Call of Duty. And I remember she called all of us out. And one of my friends that I respected at Call of Duty, he was like, all right, I'll play you 1v1. And the next day I asked him like, hey, so how did it go? You guys played Call of Duty 1v1. And he told me that she won by a few points, but she would not stop talking about it.
Oh my God.
And she was posting about it. I remember specifically, she was like, so-and-so said he was good at Call of Duty, but he was a little bitch. And she kept talking about it like that. And at that point, it's like, this is a little too much. Like in terms of my competitiveness, that's not what I aim to do.
Okay, that's good. Because I remember at times, we would talk about like scores or whatever, and you'll be like, you wouldn't really rub it in, but you would just say it, and I'll be like, oh my God, this guy's getting annoying with any type of achievement. And it felt like an indirect rubbing in your face, but I know it's just talking facts. And at the end, like, it's all about how you perceive it rather than, how you perceive it rather than how the person is presenting it at times. But
but before we segue out of this video game topic, I think it's worth noting that they just announced the new generation of Xbox.
Dude, oh my God, that thing looks so dope.
I like it, and I'm not biased because I like Xbox. I actually think it's interesting. I like that it's different. One thing I was reading, because there's all these memes, and I mean I get it's different, so it's kind of funny. I've seen the memes, like people are calling it like a mini fridge, and they're showing like memes like of it being like there was a photo I posted on my Facebook, and it shows like a skyline, like all these buildings, and one of the buildings is the Xbox. So that's funny. But then there are some people that are really making fun of it and saying it's a really stupid design, and I like it.
That's cool.
I think it got to a point where PlayStation and Xbox, all their designs was the same thing. It was just this rectangular box, this black box. And eventually they had different forms, but that's it. And I think this is more revolutionary in terms of what it is and what it looks like.
For me, I haven't done much research into it, but just visually seeing it, I like how it could be portable, because you could honestly pick it up and probably put it in your backpack, compared to this big old rectangle. You gotta unplug all the cable. You gotta just shove it into a freaking bag. It seems more of a portable thing. It seems cool that it seems like you could move it around more often, and it's easier to move around than the previous Xboxes.
And they've come a long way, because it's worth noting that the first iteration of the Xbox One was a fucking VCR. Like, it was a big-ass block.
Oh my...
The first Xbox One, I'm not gonna lie, it was ugly. I know. I had it too. I sold mine, but I don't miss it. That thing was ugly.
Don't you get at times nostalgic and just want to play, like, the old consoles again?
Here's my thing. So I had a discussion recently with Elias, because he collects video games and old consoles and stuff, and I used to do that too. I do get nostalgic. I want to do that stuff again, but there's so much new video games that I don't have time to get into that nostalgia and play those older ones. Xbox gives you the 3 free games a month, and I have some old games like the old Battlefront that I've been wanting to play, But it's like all this new stuff out. I haven't even had time to play that. So in terms of nostalgia, the nostalgia isn't important enough to me. I recently told Elias that, because I moved so much. You saw me. I was dorm to dorm, apartment to apartment.
Mm-hmm.
It came to a point where I do like all these different consoles. And there was a point where I was collecting vinyls and DVDs and stuff. It got to the point where I realized like this takes up space. It just takes up more space. Not only paying for something else, but you need more space for this. And so
Jesus.
I told you, I specifically told you when I was gonna get the Xbox One X. I told you this. I'm not gonna get it until I sell my other one. Remember that? So when I sold it, I used that money for it.
Okay,
it wasn't
that makes sense.
Just the money issue. It was just the space. I don't want that big block and have another Xbox beside it. I only need one Xbox.
Oh my god!
And they're backwards compatible. But I need another one. Yeah. So. I really hope they have some sort of trade-in deal for this Xbox, but we've been on video games for a while, so is there any other topics we want to jump onto?
I know we talked about this, and it relates to kind of what the treatment Nipsey Hussle got when he died, but recently Juice, I think I'm saying that right, Juice WRLD died, and I don't know if you know that guy. He's on your top 5 artists of the year, but I've never heard of this fool, and it's just... all respect, man. That fool died. He was grinding it out, probably. I was doing a little research on the network. He was obviously doing something right, but I never heard of this fool, and it's crazy how people just react to him. They're like, "Oh, R.I.P. Juice WRLD." I'm like, did you even hear 2 songs? It's the same treatment. Nipsey Hussle obviously got, and Tentacion, and I'm probably forgetting one more, but they've gotten a lot of this stuff, and I've wondered, do you think this is a trend that's been going on recently, or has this already been happening for a while for at least not so big artists to get this much trending going for a couple weeks at least? It's a thing everyone's posting. It's not just a couple people. It's not just their close fans. Yeah,
so more so for those listening, just to clear up anything up, if you think we're trying to be funny or we're trying to, joke around here, we're not. The conversation Al and I were having mostly were not saying that he's a bad musician.
We can't judge it.
He was bad at his craft, but more so that his name, when a name isn't known, and then when the person passes away, and just all of a sudden everybody likes it. Because, again, no disrespect.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer. If you don't check something out, you really can't form an opinion. I've never heard his stuff. I can't say anything.
Same.
But we were talking specifically about Nipsey Hussle, and we were saying that we know all the stuff he did outside of music. Like, he did a lot for the community. That's super respectable. But in terms of music, I have never heard his name ever. Not even for, I don't listen to too much rap or hip hop. I don't. I'll admit that. I listen to some stuff, but not much. But I know a lot of people that listen to rap and hip hop, and I had never even heard the name before. And again, no disrespect. So the conversation was just more so on these people being really overly idolized after they pass away.
Yeah.
And, you can argue like, well, David Bowie, Michael Jackson. No, those were big names already. Those were huge names. I think even if you didn't hear their music, the name. But it was just more so the name was unknown to you, and now all of a sudden it's everywhere. But yeah, this guy that just passed away, I saw tweets about it. And, I didn't know it was a person, so I didn't understand the context of it. I was really confused.
Yeah.
I think I had one person say, like, rest in peace, and that's where I was like, okay, somebody respectable passed away.
But what do you think, though? Like, do you think this... I don't know what to connect it to, honestly, because I feel like I feel some people use it just to get some clout, not even clout, just
that's what I was going to say. I think it's a chain of events. I think it's a chain of events. I think this is how I think it works. Somebody passes away, some musician, and they might not be super well known, but I think those fans that were really into him want to show, hey, I was a fan of this guy. Talk about him, share his music. Then I think all of a sudden, it gets to the point where social media, people see this, they check him out, and then that's where it blows up. Because we're at a point in social media where if something is a meme, or if something is talked about or retweeted, you have to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a sidetrack right here, but White Claw. When White Claw became a meme, everybody wanted to try it. But here's the thing, it's hard seltzer. Not many people like seltzer, like mineral water, sparkling water.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, out of everybody I know, I probably met like one person that actually likes it. So when people saw White Claw, it was this meme, they're sharing it, everyone wants to try it. Popeyes. Perfect. That's another thing, like it's shared so much and everyone has to be a part of it. And it was funny with the White Claw because I had friends that they shared this meme so much and then eventually they tried the White Claw and they're like, oh, this shit's gross. And I'm like, well, it says hard seltzer. What you think this was? Like a beer? It's not what it is. And that's the thing. When it becomes a meme or it becomes retweeted so much, I think a lot of people want to be a part of it, which I don't understand because we hear so much, be unique, be yourself. But at the same time, people have to be a part of this social media norm. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there was a little pause, but we had some technical difficulties. We are back. Back for the Savages. It's like a little commercial, but we're not getting paid. No sponsors or anything like that.
That's right.
Yeah, so again, I think we're talking about the White Claws and stuff and how, people were sharing this meme and everyone wanted to be a part of this norm. But, once people tried it, it just wasn't for everybody. And that was my point of that.
Mm-hmm. It's a interesting topic when it comes to just trends setting around. But to me, when it comes to artists, at least, I don't know if I feel like in a way it's not disrespectful, you're saying R.I.P. to this person, but at times I feel like it's a little bit is it humiliating? Not really, but I feel like it's a little bit negative because at times you're just going along with what the trend is. You don't really know much or were delved into this person's art.
I see what you mean.
So at times it just feels like you're doing this for your accomplishment rather than what they were, your actual strong belief, care about them. And at times it's it's like you're honoring them in their memory, but more so for the sake of you being a part of something. The intent, it's not for them. Not all of them. Obviously, I'm not saying everyone, but it's not the intent for them, but it's intent for you in a way. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's really interesting.
Yeah, man. Got some hot topics we drop in Savages Unscripted, but one last thing. I don't know if you still wanted to talk about this or because of our pause.
Yeah, that was a bit of a pause, but we're back, people. Immediately we're like, no, we're still recording. To you guys, it might have just been 3 or 4 seconds, depending on how I edit this. But to us, it was a lot longer than it should have been.
We're still committed.
But we're back. Yeah, we could have cut this out, but we want this to seem somewhat unscripted. But what were we going to say, Al?
If there's any more topics, I wanted to bring up one more topic, but it relates to video games. Maybe we could save it for next time, or unless you have something else.
I'll just whip it out, dude.
I just wanted to talk about a little bit of the Google Stadia, because so far it's been...
Oh, yes.
It's been shit on fire. From what I've heard, I've seen a couple reviews about this, and the main concern, for at least on the top of my head, is that they are still selling old video games for full price, and usually the appeal for that console is to for streamers. Yet you need they blame the because they promised a certain quality for each video game, and from the marketing it's perceived as great quality for all the games across, but it's not like that. From what people have been complaining is that they don't get as much high quality as they promised, and at the end the PR says it's not our fault, but it's the game developers who have to adapt to our consoles in order for this to be quality. So they didn't really say we're going to improve or anything like that. They just pointed fingers away from them. So that's all I know from that.
So I'm assuming you've heard about it and read about it, right?
Yeah, I actually got kind of interested about it. I was considering maybe getting it.
So I think the best way to put this is the whole Stadia thing. It's a premature release, and I think it's almost equivalent to the Apple Plus premium, whatever. We still don't know the name of it because we don't give a shit about it. It's so bad. But Apple's streaming service and Disney, because again, so a little recap very quick. Apple released their thing. All of a sudden, nobody knew, people knew it was going to happen, but all of a sudden they just dropped it and they had just a little bit of content and it wasn't noteworthy. But then Disney Plus came and boom, launched. They had so much content that people actually wanted to see. Mm-hmm. So with Google Stadia, yeah, like you said, it's more of a streaming thing, but I think it's more also of a cloud thing as well. Mm-hmm. Like a cloud service. But at launch, if I'm correct, Google Stadia had like somewhere between 12 and 20 games, and they had one exclusive at launch. Mm-hmm. So there are these older games that, yeah, they are full price. Red Dead Redemption that came out last year. They still don't have, that's another thing too. New video games, Battlefield, the new Star Wars game that just came out a month or two ago. Those big titles aren't even on it yet. People want new big titles, not stuff that came out a year ago. We already have that shit. So they have one exclusive. Like I don't even know the name of it. I don't care. So here's the thing. It launched already. It's already out. At launch, they have, like I said, anywhere from 12 to 20 games. That sounds familiar to me. Xbox, they have their xCloud service in beta. It's going to be in beta for a long time. Right now, in the beta, you have access to at least 50 games, games you don't own. Mm-hmm. Just because you're a part of this beta. And all you have to do is just put in your email, your name, boom, and you're part of the beta. And that's it.
That's badass.
But already you have these big titles, 50 games, and so it's like more so, like I said, it's a premature release. They weren't ready. And something we all know is November, December are big months for video games. The shopping, the holidays and all that stuff. And they want to put that stuff out there. Because that's when, kids want video games. They're going to sell more. So I think Stadia wanted to come out before that. And it seemed like it was like a premature thing, but it just did not land. I don't know one person that has a Stadia, and you're the first person that says that you want to try it out. And I understand why you want to try it out. You don't want to go with the norm, but yeah.
It's more also that you could just slap it on your TV and has one controller and that's it. I like how the simplicity of it, and then you don't have to download it. They also mentioned that there was no updates in the game, or you didn't have to download the updates, and it was great quality. So it seems like again, when I mentioned with the previous Xbox model or the previous Xbox discussion, I thought that it was gonna be kind of cool. You could take it around anywhere, go to a friend's house, and you could play it all day. But it's it's obviously premature, and at times it makes me ask the question, why do companies at times pull the trigger so quickly? I know some people say they have deadlines and they have competition to deal with, but this seemed to be like almost an untapped idea that was coming along. I know the xCloud is kind of like that, but it's like you previously told me before, it's only for mobile games. And I mean mobile games, sorry. It's for your phone to play with. And your tablet.
Now, yeah.
And this is a whole different concept where you still play it on the TV, but you don't need to wait anymore to play, and it's so simple it's so portable. Those are the two main things that catch my eye. Yet they rushed to do this, and it didn't get a great landing. And at times, it's obviously not the start. It's not the way you start, but the way you finish, or you do after. But even for big companies such as Google to have this, I feel like they could have some more patience for this. And they have obviously the money to bounce back from this, but it seems like it could have been a better bang or more of a success if they could have just waited a little longer. Even for next year, it's not like this was the moment to release this. It's not like another company releasing this type of thing besides xCloud, which is kind of close to it.
I think what's hurting them is just that it's already out. It's already released. The Xbox xCloud is in beta, but the xCloud is slapping cheeks right there. The fact that it's just in beta, that's sad. And Xbox specifically said there's no time frame right now for this beta.
Perfect.
Or for the release. And I honestly don't think it's going to be out until the end of 2020, honestly. At least. Mm-hmm. But that's good. The fact that it's already that much better in beta. And they specifically said that they have high hopes for this. They have goals for it. And it's going to be much bigger than people even think it is. So they want people to wait. Honestly, if it comes out 2021, I wouldn't be surprised either. Or, at launch or after the new Xbox. But yeah, like you were saying, sometimes we jump the gun and you see these companies prematurely release something big. And then at launch, it's obvious, like they should have waited. But back to competition, I think that's what it is. Your competition's getting success. Marvel and DC. We saw Marvel build out their universe slowly over years, but over so many years since I was in middle school. And then with DC, we saw, oh, boom, we're going to throw in Wonder Woman in this movie. We're going to all of a sudden have Batman and Superman together. We're going to throw in Justice League all of a sudden. It's like, okay, like you have these big names, these big characters, but you didn't take your time and build the world a little bit. You didn't plan that out. And that's what this was too. I think it was just because of the competition. They just wanted to get out there.
But I still, I understand where you're getting at because Google and Microsoft could be direct competitors in general. But when it comes to Google being in the video game world against Microsoft, that they have never really, I don't think besides probably Google Play and some other small type of games, they haven't really gone into the console games. So, and they didn't have any more competitors, and they weren't even a member of the game to begin with. They weren't playing in the court. They were just a fan watching. So why would they just rush it so quickly? It still kind of boggles my mind.
They probably wanted to make a name for themselves very quickly.
Yeah, that's probably.
But what's funny is because now it's a bit of a joke right now. It's a bit of a meme. Yeah, they are making a name for themselves. They're the butt of this joke right now. No, I guess really what it is.
It's kind of disappointing, because at times these are great ideas. It's just the execution is what is really important as well, rather than just putting it out there.
And I think that's where you and me are the same. We want that other competition. For example, you and me have said this before. We want DC to get better because we want there's some good DC superheroes, but we want to see more of this content be really good. And same thing with consoles. Right now it's always been Xbox, PlayStation, now the Switch is coming up as a console, but that's it. In terms of consoles, there isn't much out there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where you and me are the same. We want more of that competition. We want more of those options. It just makes things more interesting. The fact that when you're making these decisions and it makes it hard, that's what's cool. You have to take your time. Which one do I want? Mm-hmm. That's what I want. And the NBA, we wanted more teams to come up, and that's what we got right now. We have a lot of good teams right now. And I think that's the thing with Google. They probably just very quickly wanted to make a name for themselves.
Yeah. It's probably those quarterly earnings too, man. Those hit you. That's why at times I've noticed that leads to companies rushing stuff when it comes to earnings reports. They want to show that they're making more money so they could get more investors and then more money, cash flow going inside their company to grow more. But yeah, that was just a side note.
That's the thing too, though. Video games mostly, November, December to the holidays. Mm-hmm. But if you drop something like that doesn't have any much of a reputation in console gaming, not many people are probably going to buy it. Yeah. So I think at times, maybe Stadia wanted to come out earlier. That's probably why they went premature. They wanted to put their name out there before the holidays. Mm-hmm. But again, it was just a premature release.
Yeah, man. It's obviously going to get better. I just hope to see more improvements. But at one point or another, in a year, half a year, or 2 years or more, this I could probably end up transitioning to this console if it gets big enough, at least, or some friends even join it, because it's a really cool concept. Mm-hmm. But I think that's for my side all the topics I want to bring up, man. Is there anything else you want to say?
I just wanted to share a story because so one thing people do like that we've shared on the podcast, but we do like sharing this, but this isn't our sole purpose in this podcast. But when we share conspiracies or ghost stories and stuff, yes, people have come to me and said hey, we really like this. That was really scary. And I had a friend, I don't know if I said this in the podcast, but I'll say it again if I did. But I was going to share a story, the episode when Beatrice was on, mm-hmm. and she made me stop because she was so scared. And let's do it. That story I was going to tell, I had 2 friends hit me up saying, hey, what was that story? We want to hear that. And I told you about this though. I want that story wasn't mine. It was a friend's. So I want him to come on the podcast and share it, or I want him to write out his whole account super detailed and I'll read it super dramatically. Anyway, so I was like looking into like scary stories, and I went onto this thread where people were sharing. Hopefully you're hoping these are real stories. Someone might get a little fictitious with it, a little fictional.
Yeah.
But people were sharing like their creepy stories that they experienced, and I don't know how old this is. This is probably a few years old. Yeah, 2008. So I think this is like an anonymous thing. But this guy basically said that he was driving and he went to Amboy, California. So I read up on this, and for those that don't know, Amboy, California is basically kind of like a middle of nowhere type of thing. It's a deserted town. It's this place in California that's still there. The old structures, old towns, buildings, restaurants, they're still there, but they're completely deserted and like fucked up. No one's there. If I'm correct, they said that there's like older models of older cars that were still there as well. They weren't functional. They couldn't move, but they were just left there. They were just abandoned. And I think there might be a gift shop because this became like so commercialized too. Anyway, so it was like this abandoned place. And so this guy went there. I think he's like a photographer or something. And when he was leaving, he was going through this mountain that's like nearby. So it was like getting dark. And apparently, he's going up this mountain. He's trying to go home. And he comes across something in the middle of the road. He sees a car just in the middle of the road, and there's like suitcases and clothes in the middle of the road, and there's two bodies on the floor.
Oh my god!
It's a man's body and a woman's body just on the floor. And so there's this car, all this clothes, and these two bodies there, and he's like, okay, what the hell? So he's a little cautious, like there's this accident apparently, which it looks like it's been here for a while, but nobody's here. So he got a little suspicious, and I guess he was like, he wasn't a law enforcement, or he was a Marine at some point. So he's thinking in terms of that, in terms of, defensively. So instead of just getting out of his car to check it out, he was like, you know what? I'm going to drive past it, maybe about 100 feet, and I'm going to take my time. So he drove past these bodies. He drove past the car. He went about 100 feet, and he just stopped there. He's kind of freaked out, so he's breathing heavy. And he looked into his rearview mirror. Ow, the bodies got up.
No way! I want to see that.
Yes. So these two bodies get up, and out of nowhere, like 20 to 25 people, just figures come out of the bushes and the trees, and they're just standing by the car, assholes. And they're just staring at him. And in that instant, he was like, fuck this, and he booked it.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's how he wrote on this story. But I was like, dude, that's fucking creepy. That's a movie, like, waiting to happen. That's, oh my gosh.
That's
like, all I can think about is, what? Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing they were saying too. So where he was driving through was this mountain near that deserted town. But a big thing about this deserted town, I specifically looked up about this place, Amboy, California. Mm-hmm. So it's known for having big satanic activity.
Yeah.
Throughout, its span of this town being there. And I saw photos, you can see like satanic like symbols and stuff on walls. And so, that's just, I thought that was interesting that you brought that up right now, but that is so creepy.
Dude, you gotta love that stuff, man. I got a little bit of chills. I like that.
Yeah. And that's what's funny, like, it's not even a ghost story, but this is something that, if it happened, it's real. These are seemingly real people that came out of those bushes and those trees, but that's still super fucked up and creepy. Like, that's an ambush at that point, and who knows what they were trying to do with this guy.
Oh, man.
And the better question is, again, if this is real, we're just assuming this is real, how many times have they been effective in this?
Shit, man, that's cool as fuck. I like, not cool in the sense of what they're doing, but cool in the sense of what's entertaining.
Yes, oh, that's cool. Let's make this. That's a trend I want to follow.
I could also refer you. It's funny, we're gonna refer to other channels for this, but if you'd like to also check out just you, Hector, there's a YouTube channel called That Chapter, and they don't really talk about scary stories, but he talks about like fucked up criminal cases of like people disappearing, of open cases, and like you get to understand not really the horror side, but how crazy things could get or elevate to when it comes to at least even your own circle at times. And like I recently I think Yeah, I watched a video today, and it was about this woman and her whole family. They were just living in some small, I think it's Pipe County, somewhere in Ohio. It's a really small county. Their whole family, 8 of them, 8 that were inside, they were all killed while they were sleeping. I think there was only one guy awake. And at the time that happened, it was a big catastrophe, but there was nothing that could lead them into any leads, or there was no real sort of evidence to be found. Nobody, no cuts, no DNA, nothing that could be found around there. And eventually led to a point where people started suspecting people within their circles, and it turns out that the killer was almost a family, like one to 4 people that was the how would you say, the dad, the biological dad of one of the daughter's kids, and it was, at the end of the day, you know what the whole dispute was for killing those people, or the reason why?
What was it?
Just because they wanted full custody of their kid.
Oh man.
So they killed the whole family, applied for the custody 6 days after that happened. They're trying to be slick and leave it a couple days just to mitigate, and just for a fucking kid. It's cool. I don't mean like the kid's worthless, but
that's cool.
That's crazy, man. And there's some other crazy stories. Like, I also heard of there was a case of a Disney cruise where it's interesting too. It kind of shows you the business concept and how Disney could be, but I mean business world. But there was this one lady who was from England, and she recently got a job for managing the cruise kids program, and she was only there for maybe a couple weeks. I don't really remember the specific details, but she was working there for a bit, and then one of her recent relatives died, so she left for work for 2 weeks. Then she came back, and she came back to LA, where they were going from LA to, I think, Mexico. That was the route. And within that time, every time, she would always contact her parents and stuff like that. And one night she says, I'll call you guys tomorrow. And she was consistent. It's not like she texted you like midday and there was like a chat of like 5 messages. No, she would talk to her parents a lot. And that day passes and she didn't respond. And immediately her parents were worried. And they got to a point where they reported her missing, and from all this, they in their next stop, they started looking for the place, but there was only one guy who looked around the whole place. Well, actually, the whole staff helped look, but one investigator, just investigated for just 1 day of what happened, and that was it. Like, case closed. Like, it's basically like, we gave this much effort, and if they couldn't find it, well, fuck you, just deal with it, type of thing. And it got not big headlines, but it could have been big, bad PR work for Disney, because that happened in their cruise, and that was one of their employees. And at the end, it's kind of a messed up situation, because Disney has a lot of cameras within that boat, but they're being super, not fully releasing everything. Basically, they have some recordings that people would like to see, and they just don't want to release it because of security purposes, because they say that they don't want future people to know where cameras are at, which kind of makes sense, but at the same time, doesn't fully justify for that. But that's a thing that's going on. And then obviously conspiracies like, she was trafficked, or she fell off the boat, or she committed suicide. It's crazy stuff out there. And even one last one just to drop, because you mentioned that you could read this stuff on Reddit. There was this one killer who abducted a couple kids after killing their parents, and he was eventually caught. But the thing that sticks out was that this guy blogged about his shit. Like, he blogged about his previous bad criminal things, such as I think he was just a sexual assault. Like, I think he raped a couple kids. No, when he was 15, he was arrested for having raped like a ton of 8-year-olds or something like that. 15. So he's been talking about this throughout his blog, and he keeps continually updating this even when he's in jail after he's been caught for all this. And it's crazy. It's a crazy read to just see what they're thinking. But yeah, this has been Savages Unscripted. My name's Papi Chulo. With
We're gonna end like this?
yeah.
Such a dark note. Make people sad. Remember, Al, we gotta keep in mind we release on Mondays. Not everybody's gonna listen on Monday, but most people do. We have a lot of people that do listen on Mondays, according to the stats. We can't end like this on a fucking Monday.
All right. What's something good you could
Let
think
me roast
about?
you. Come on, let me roast you. I'm just kidding.
But it's crazy, bro.
It is.
What could I say? Hey, man, it's a Monday. You could get through this. You've been getting through this your whole life. Just go over it.
I want to share a quick story. This one's might be a little more comedic.
All right.
Away from the conspiracy stuff. I don't mind those stories. This not end that way. Let's not do that to our listeners. So I would love for him to share this, but he's not here now. But in his first episode, I believe Elias, our intern, Papa Bear.
Oh, sorry. Before I forgot one more thing. Sorry.
Yes.
The guy's blogs. It was called The Fifth Nail because he was referencing to
the fifth nail.
He was referencing to the possible fifth nail they put on Jesus' cross, or when they crucified him. It's some weird shit. But yeah, let's go with comedy now.
All right. So in Elias's podcast, we were talking about, he calls himself Papa Bear, and we went to Black Bear Diner, and that there was this waitress, this older lady, and he was, he's attracted to her, and he was trying to flirt with her, and how it was awkward because he was doing it very weirdly in front of us. He was like he was getting a little cheesy in front of us, and it was kind of bad to see. Like, it was cringy. Anyway, so, we call her Mama Bear. We don't know her real name, and we've only gone a few times since then. So he said, yeah, that's my Mama Bear, yada, yada. I want to talk to her. But it was kind of a joke. I don't know if I was taking him seriously. And then last weekend, we went back, and I'm looking for her. I'm like, all right, Elias, we're going to get you talking to her. And I see her. I think I'm going to talk to her. Let me just say that.
What?
No, so she was this older woman. And
okay.
So what's funny is when we first went, she was taking our order, and I was just there to eat and spend time with my friends, but I was just so hungry that I didn't really look at her. I just remember, in my mind, she was like in her 40s. She looked a little older, but like, okay. And then when I saw her this last time, I was like, damn, Elias, nah, she's too good for you. No, I'm just kidding. But wow, she's really, really attractive. Go, dude. So we're trying to get him to go back to this diner so we can talk to her.
Dude, Mama Bear and Papa Bear will be released later on this year.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm going to try to get her on the
podcast with him. Dude, that would be great. I was referencing to something else, but that's still a good idea.
Like getting people and getting their crush on the show too.
Oh man, the cringe. We could start with that. We could both lead as an example and then just go from there.
What if like I got you not like so like a blind date version of a podcast host? If I assigned someone to be with you, but I didn't tell you, and it was that I you don't want me to say the name, but that girl you were having those issues with when we lived together.
Oh my god! I'll be down. Honestly, dude, I'm down for that. Like, that'll be really interesting.
There was this video I found before, we are getting a bit long in this episode, but there was this, I want to say it wasn't BuzzFeed because I don't like BuzzFeed, but this video was interesting. But there was this video with, I don't think it was, I think it's too deep to be BuzzFeed, but they basically got old couples that had broken up in the past, and they sat them both down, and they got them talking about why they broke up, and, without fighting. They got them talking about it, and, you see them saying like, oh, like, you weren't really listening to me, or, I was too this, or yada yada. But when you hear these people express this stuff, which they thought was in their past, and you see this going down, especially on video, like, I'm like, damn, whoever thought of this, that's a little too creative for this. But we should do that, Al. I'm gonna get a random guest for you. I'm not gonna tell you who they are.
That's either gonna be really fun or really cringe, but I'm down for it. I'll do the same with you.
Hey man, I adapt. Have anybody on the show, I'll talk to them.
Yeah, it's just keep a mind open. It just depends. I feel like I'm a big advocate when it comes to chemistry. You gotta somewhat have chemistry with people, or else it just turns to a bland conversation of yes or no, or like answers, but not really, with the same energy. But all right, just one last note before we log off. That thing about grandparents, dude, like that. They have at least. I also like to watch videos where sometimes when they talk about what they regret doing. That's kind of a thing. That's kind of like a viral topic. But also those things, it's crazy to listen to now that you talked about it. Made me think like, damn, they're old people. My grandma's gonna go up there and be like talking to her ex-boyfriend why they didn't do shit. But just the experience they gone through, like, you could really learn a lot from that. They're not just fucking dead weight. But yeah,
that's the way to look at them.
So this has been Savages Unscripted once again.
Do we have any words of advice or anything we want to plug at the very end now?
I would say there's one quote I really think about, and I definitely be beneficial for everyone to apply to. The quote goes, and it's by Morgan Freeman. Everyone loves Morgan Freeman. And it says, challenge yourself. It's the only path which leads to growth. And I think we do that. We should do that every day. So,
I think it's a lot less inspiring with your was, Al. I think we need to hear it in his voice.
Well, yeah, who could live up to that standard? That guy's in the show of what's the show? I don't know, but it's something about God, and I'm like, just for him to be narrating stuff about God shows how well he is. Mm-hmm. But you got anything else?
Yeah, just everybody, we're going to keep saying this, but you should expect this. Please share us. Share this podcast. Some of you actually enjoy listening to us, and share us. Share us with your family. Share us with your, maybe not your family. There's some things you don't want them to hear about, but your friends, your coworkers. I think at times we get closer to our coworkers in ways we can get closer to some friends. But your coworkers, your baby mamas, you got a mistress, share it. Share us. We have big plans. We would like if we had a big audience we can interact with as well. So continue interacting with us, tweeting, sharing, retweeting, just hitting us up. Even just say hey or tell Al, hey, fuck you. I don't know, just interact with us.
I like how you direct our listeners to just throw shit at me, but I just gotta say, I love even the small interactions that they do, that our listeners do with the questions or even the polls we do at our Instagram. It's really cool. I liked it, and then we should keep going at it.
What I will say is, Al and I have plans for expansion that we want to do. And all I will say is, we're working with stuff with video. We got some big plans, things we're excited for. This podcast is phase 1. That's the way we're putting this. And Savages Unscripted isn't just us. It's you guys, the community as well. So, without further ado, cap us off, Al.
For the third time. This has been Savages.
Oh my
god. Alright. Drop our handle. Follow us at savages.unscripted on Instagram or Savages Unscripted on Twitter. And without further ado, this has been Savages Unscripted. My name is Al /Papi Chulo with
Hector the Stallion.
And y'all have a good week. Goodbye.